And I'd like to introduce our presenter, Lori Borja. She is a certified nutrition specialist and a licensed nutritionist. She is the owner of Nutrition for Life, located at the Spine and Wellness Center in Exeter. Welcome, Lori, and take it away.
Great, thank you so much. Can y'all hear me now? Yes, you can hear me. Okay, great. Yes, thanks for having me. It's great that I can still do the presentation. I did actually truck over from my home to my office, so I'm not actually in my house. This is actually my nutrition center in Exeter. And I do typically do cooking demos. Unfortunately, we have put those off since the whole shutdown and COVID due to precautions, because it is more of an intimate setting here. So we want to make sure that we can do that safely. So we haven't done them. So I'm excited to be able to present this, at least virtually. Of course, it won't be the same because we won't have that same effect that you can taste what I'm making. But I do have recipe cards, and I can share them later with Lynn, and she can forward them to everyone if you're interested. So I always give my disclaimer, and that is I'm not a culinary expert. So keep that in mind as you're watching me present my cooking demo. But it's very relatable though for most individuals, and I really just help support people just to help them find ways to cook that's convenient, that's easy, that's healthy, so that we can really improve the quality of the food and the content of what we're eating. And that really goes along with our topic tonight, immunity boosting foods, which we wanted to focus on. And we hear more about that now, and hopefully, at least with terrible things that have happened over the past year with people getting sick and all those things. But at least, hopefully, we can bring some awareness to really the importance of better nutrition and taking care of ourselves, so that hopefully we can fight off illnesses a little bit better. So it's not necessarily about boosting the immune system, but it's really about supporting it and allowing it to optimally function the way that it needs to. And so we could do that with eating nutrient-dense foods, eating whole foods. And you'll hear me say nutrients, and when I'm referring to nutrients, they're really compounds that are in the food that we eat, and mostly referring to vitamins, minerals, your healthy carbs, your healthy proteins, your healthy fats. So we're going to talk about some of those things tonight. Throughout the cooking demo, I'm going to highlight some of those nutrients. Doesn't mean that certainly there's a limitation to the ones that I'm going to be highlighting, or one is more important than the other. There's certainly a lot that we could talk about tonight, but I'm going to focus on what we're going to be presenting with our food items tonight. I do have a PowerPoint presentation that goes along with this topic, but we're not going to have time to do all that. But I wanted to just bring up a couple slides just to make sure we're on the same page and understand about the immune system. So what I'm going to do is, let me share my screen. Let's see if it'll let me. It might not let me since I'm not the host.
You should be good now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So let me bring this up. So can everybody see my PowerPoint screen here? There we go. Can everyone see that first page? Okay, great. Well, this actually is giving you a highlight of the recipes I'm going to be utilizing tonight. So we're going to be doing a sweet potato black bean chili, which is really perfect for this kind of weather. I wanted to give some kind of comfort food and a little spin on, a chili meal. We're also going to be doing a salad, which is my immune support salad that we're going to put together. And then for something sweet, we're going to do the blueberry boost fruit sauce. So those are the actual things that we'll be presenting tonight. But just a couple of things about the immune system. Obviously the immune system is important and responsible for fighting bacterial and viruses, but really just again emphasizing the need for healthy nutrition and good nutrition. It's definitely indicated that poor nutrition can actually result in increased infections. and may be contributed to, more complications and symptoms related to that. So just another reason why we need to improve our diet and improve our nutrition. And studies actually show that your immune system can decrease as we age. And so it actually is also shown that this can actually be stopped or slowed down by maintaining healthy nutrition. So that is good to know. I know there's a lot going on the screen, but really what I just wanted to point out is, what the immune system is and its ability to fight infection, illness, and disease. And, it's all different working parts that need to work together. And we need nutrients from the foods that we eat to help that work optimally. So that's really the point of this screen, in that, your respiratory system, your skin, your blood, all those things, and especially your gut, have all these working functions that they need to do to work together to help fight off pathogens and things that we don't want in our body, and to help reduce that immune response. And just one more slide quick. I like to bring this up because I talk a lot about gut health in my practice. And, really just emphasizing that, if our gut isn't healthy, then that can really present in other ways and have an effect on our health. So it's estimated that 70% of our body's immune cells are actually in the gut. So it makes sense that we want to pay attention and really put healthy things into our body so that our body can function in a way that our gut is going to be able to absorb nutrients and digest and absorb and assimilate those nutrients so that our body then can use them for what it needs to. So, keeping in mind that, food isn't just about gaining weight, losing weight, maintaining weight. It's really about what our body needs to function and work properly. Okay, I'm going to escape from there. I'm going to stop sharing and then we can start cooking. Okay. Does everyone see me? Let me back this up. I think you can get a better view of the stovetop here. Let me get my mics here. Okay. All right. Can everyone really see the pan? Everyone's good? Okay, great. So warm up our pan here. And, again, I picked the sweet potato chili because sweet potato is a great example of a food that has a wonderful nutrient, vitamin A especially, that is really essential to the immune system. And not only that, it helps strengthen our immune system, but it's important for our vision, for our skin, for our bone health, all those things. And sweet potato is just a pretty vibrant color. And I like to focus on that, focus on eating the rainbow, okay? So, it's not that just one food is important, more important than the other. If we're eating a variety of different colors in our diet, that's a great way to make sure that we're getting a variety of different nutrients. So sweet potatoes are an example of that, vitamin A. Other vitamin A food sources would be carrots and pumpkin, winter squash. So a lot of different foods that we can get that nutrient from. Okay, so my pan is heating. We would do that first, and then we're going to add some olive oil. And I think most of us know that olive oil is very healthy for us. It's very anti-inflammatory, so that's going to help support our immune health as well. And, there's just so much information about and studies on how beneficial olive oil and the healthy fats in it that is going to be supportive of, our brain health, reducing inflammation related to, arthritis, obesity, diabetes, so many different health issues that, we can really support with utilizing healthy fats in our diet. So olive oil is going to be a part of that. Okay. So we're gonna, I already have onions chopped up. So we're gonna be sauteing those. Put that in our pan. Oh, our pan is nice and hot. So that was perfect. Sweet potatoes, I've already chopped them up. The key to the sweet potatoes so they cook a little quicker is to really chop them up into nice little cubes. And if I'm short on time, I might even do those a little bit in the microwave just to soften them up. It makes it easier to cut up. And then it doesn't take as long to cook in the pan. And onions are great because they really are, considered antibacterial. They have a very important antioxidant, quercetin. You may have heard about that supplement more recently with its benefits to being, I guess, antiviral, you could say. So that is a big component to onions. And so we're just sauteing these. We're just gonna do this probably for about 4 minutes until the onions get soft, kind of translucent. And if you hear me talk about antioxidants, antioxidants are really important for our immune health as well. They, really help take up the free radicals that we get from our environment and the food that we eat. So it's really important to eat foods that have that component to them as well. And sweet potatoes are, it's not a fan favorite in my household. By the way, I tend to bring up my children. They're mostly teenagers. My daughter is in college, and she's 20. My boys are 18 and 15. And so you could probably imagine the challenges that I have trying to get them all to eat healthy. So I often bring them up because we really learn from each other, actually, and what works and what doesn't. And even the ones that aren't big fans of sweet potatoes, they really do love this dish. Okay. So that looks pretty good. The next thing we're going to do is add our spices and our garlic. We have chili powder and cumin, and these are great herbs to use or spices to use. That's going to add a lot of flavor, and it's also going to add some value to our food as well. It's antioxidant value. I often encourage my clients to utilize fresh or dry herbs and spices. Most of them, or a lot of them, have anti-inflammatory properties, so we can get value from that just by adding those to our cooking. So we're going to do that. Typically, I would mix the dry substances together and add it to our dish. But I'm just going to go ahead and throw that all in. And the minced garlic. The garlic is a great antimicrobial too, so that's going to be great support for our immune system. And then we're just going to coat the sweet potatoes and the onions. You can all see that. Okay. Just kind of do that for like 30 seconds. Okay, and then we're going to add some moisture. We need some moisture now. So we're going to add some water. Okay. Get out a little mixture there. I'm going to get that up high so that we can get it to a simmer. And then we're just going to let that boil for a little bit. I'm going to put the lid on. Okay, so we're going to get that to boil, and hopefully the sweet potatoes will soften, but you'll never know if they weren't cooked all the way because you can't taste it. But we're going to still work on that, and we're going to come back to it. We do have a couple other steps and some things to add to it. But while I'm waiting for that to cook up a little bit, we're going to talk about the salad. I really wanted to have a dish that incorporated a lot of greens because greens are so healthy for us and they're so important for our health. We need that added fiber. That's important for our digestion as well. So we want to make sure we're focused on foods that are high in fiber. This salad is my immune support salad. And I've already chopped up a lot of the greens here. And you can incorporate whatever greens you would like. I put in some baby kale, some baby spinach, and we're gonna have some green onions and some Brussels sprouts. If you're not a fan of Brussels sprouts, don't be scared. Even people that do not like Brussels sprouts, they like the salad, including my college-age daughter. And I'm going to be incorporating a dressing that she actually even makes at college, which is really impressive because when I was in college, I was living off of canned raviolis. So I think she's doing pretty good. She must be actually listening to me. So, so we're going to talk about that dressing as well. But the Brussels sprouts, I've only become a fan of the last couple of years. Of course, I love it roasted, but don't be afraid to have it raw as well. If you don't want it so, you know, it is kind of raw, or I mean, it is raw, but you know, if you don't like the texture of it, you can even kind of marinate it a little bit in the dressing that I'm going to be presenting. That'll kind of soften it up a little bit, and then it gives it that extra flavor. I actually have just a Brussels sprout salad that I do with that dressing. But just slice it up if you're not familiar. It's really easy. I like the fresh Brussels sprouts. I just take the outer leaves off. I don't know if you can see. Can you see okay? No? That better there? Okay. So I'm just going to cut the end off, the stem. And then I'm going to cut it in half. And then turn it on the flat side. See if you can see. And then just kind of shred it. Just slice it thin. Just like that. And then it just kind of falls apart. So it's real easy. You can do it real quick. So we're going to add the Brussels sprouts to the greens. And, you know, these greens are really packed with vitamin C, which I think a lot of people hear vitamin C is really important to strengthen the immune system. And it's really true. We can get it in our foods. We don't have to necessarily take a supplemental form. We can get it in the foods that we're eating. And Brussels sprouts, these other greens are really high in vitamin C. And vitamin C can actually hopefully help us maybe reduce the time that we are sick from an illness or from some bacterial virus, and maybe even lessen the symptoms and complications. So that's a really big benefit to nutrients for that nutrient. Okay. Out of the camera there. Okay, so we're just gonna mix that together. Let's see, let me check on my sweet potatoes. So that's boiling good. Okay. So we're just gonna mix it around. And then some other things you can add, and you can add whatever toppings you want. I like to add sesame seeds. Sesame seeds are high in vitamin E, which is also important for the proper functioning of our immune system. If you want to add a little sweetness and color to the salad, my husband, this is really for my husband because he likes sweet things. I have dried cranberries. If you're worried about the sugar content, then either don't add them, or you can even find some that are, you know, less added sugar to them. But I think it's okay to add this little bit of sweetness, and I think it looks really pretty. Just adds a little color. And then my salad dressing, I was excited. My friend had a Pampered Chef party. I haven't had Pampered Chef in a long time. I really love their products, and I just got the little canister for the salad dressing, so I was excited to be able to use it. But I've already mixed the salad dressing. I'll give you the recipe. It's actually just one, again, that my daughter and I really love. And all it is olive oil, apple cider vinegar, some minced garlic, and some lemon from a lemon juice, or lemon juice from a full lemon. And if you don't, I really highly recommend having a juicer. Does anyone have one of these? I just got it and it works wonderfully. You just slice your lemon or your lime in half and you put the open side down, and then it just squeezes. You really get the juice so quickly. It's really great to have in your kitchen. We're doing time there. So yeah, so you just put that on your salad. So that's a great thing to have to help strengthen your immune system. Okay, let's check on our sweet potatoes here. I think they're coming along nicely. We're going to do the next step. So we're going to add some other good nutrients. I often, encourage clients to have either fresh or frozen fruits and vegetables for best nutrient value and less preservatives. Canned fruits and vegetables can have either, other additives in them. But I think cooking with canned tomatoes is fine. And actually, I think it just adds a little bit more to the dish. So we're going to put in some diced tomatoes. And tomatoes have a lot of nutrients in them. Some more vitamin C. It also has lycopene, which is a great antioxidant to help strengthen the immune system as well. And then we're going to add our protein, and that's going to be the black beans. So there's a lot of nutrient value in the black beans as well, but in particular, protein is really important for our immune health. Protein helps us build cells, including in our immune system. And, it's certainly indicated that diets that are low in protein or deficient in protein can actually deplete some of our immune cells. So it's really important to make sure that we're getting good quality whole protein in our diet. If you're feeling like you're missing the meat, and this is a vegetarian meal here, then you can certainly use this recipe and add, ground turkey would be a nice option for this meal as well. And it would give it really great flavor. So you can certainly do that and maybe just put less of the black beans in. So you can do it that way. Oh, I almost forgot one more thing. Another vitamin C food source, some lime juice. So that's going to add some nice flavor to this dish. Okay, so we're just going to let that cook for another few minutes. I put it up high just to blend those flavors and warm up. It's just long enough to warm up really the beans and the tomatoes. Let me see. I'm going to give the little taste test for the sweet potato. See how that's coming along. Good. I was able to put a fork in them, so that's good. That's good. I like it. I would cook it a little bit longer. Hopefully you'll be able to try this out on your own. Okay, so we're going to pretend that it's done. It's very close to it, so I think you can get it to kind of thicken a little bit, but given the time, we just want to make sure that we're moving forward. And you can also add my favorite herb, cilantro. I find that you either love it or you hate it. So you don't add it if you hate it. But cilantro is, again, another nice herb that can support the immune system. And it also has the quercetin in it as well. So, so again, another beneficial nutrient in this herb here. And then just sprinkle it on top. And I think it looks good. What do you think? Pretty easy enough? Okay. Okay. I'm going to let that simmer a little longer because my family is waiting to eat it later. Okay. All right, so we're going to move on to some dessert. I think a lot of people like to have something sweet, maybe after their dinner meal. And so I picked this, I picked blueberries because blueberries are great. Berries are great in general. They have great antioxidant value to them. Blueberries especially have a lot of nutrients, vitamin A, vitamin C, and I just think it just comes out really good in the fruit sauce. And you can apply it in many different ways. You can use it, and I'm going to use it on some yogurt tonight. I think a lot of people, I try to encourage people to reduce the amount of sugars in their diet. Sugar is inflammatory, and so we want to reduce the bad foods in our diet too, right? It's not just about adding good foods. It's about reducing foods that can be inflammatory that could affect our immune health as well. So sugar's on the top of that list, and particularly with, helping people kind of get away from some of those cravings. We focus on foods that are, higher in protein and healthy fats that can help with getting us away from those cravings. And, if we add our own sweetness to things like yogurt, it's overwhelming when you go to the store and there's a whole aisle of yogurts, and a lot of them have a lot of sugars. They're high in sugars. It's confusing as to what to pick. So I always encourage clients, it's better just to get the plain yogurt, and then you can add your own sweetness to it. And you can even add some granola into the dish, make more of a parfait, and then you can use it for the next day for putting it in your oatmeal or on a slice of toast with some nut butter. So you can apply it in so many different ways. That's why I wanted to do this fruit sauce. And you can certainly use fresh or frozen. I'm going to use fresh tonight because that does cook a little quicker. So we're going to warm up this pan here. I'm going to grab my ingredients. My Blueberry Boost fruit sauce. Get that to warm up a little bit. See how we are on time? Oh, okay. I think we're doing perfect with timing. This is really very simple. And one note, in making a dish like chili, if you're cooking for yourself or maybe just one other person, it's great to, to store it late, freeze it, I should say. If you store it in individual serving sizes, that's a great way to store it and freeze it and have it for later or at another time. So, but certainly even for having leftovers for lunch the next day or breakfast, my families are big leftover eaters. They'll have something like that for breakfast too. So, so you don't feel like you're constantly cooking and preparing things. Okay. So you're just going to put the blueberries in their whole. And again, you can use whatever fruit you like, strawberries, peaches. Those are other good fruits that work well for this as well. And you're just going to let this heat up. It seems a little strange just putting them kind of in their plain. If you want to enhance the flavor and the sweetness, you can add some honey. Honey is sugar too. And again, we're trying to reduce the amount of sugars, but I think most people for this, they need a little bit more sweetness, including the people in my household. So, I try to go by their palates as well. But really just a tablespoon of honey works really nice. And honey, even though it is sugar, it does have some nutrient value and even antibacterial, antifungal properties to it. So again, something that can support our immune health. Let me mix that around, I almost forgot. And then a pinch of salt, that's going to help us enhance the flavor. I'm going to keep it a little bit higher just so we can kind of speed it along a little bit. So you're going to do this for fresh fruit, about 5 minutes, and for frozen, about 10 minutes. So the fresh does go a little quicker. So you kind of get it to sound like it's boiling, like it is. Turn it down a little bit. And then you have a potato masher. You're just going to help break it apart. I wish you could all smell it. It smells so good. So it'll start to liquefy. These berries aren't quite as ripe as some others, so they're taking a little longer to smush. But they will, and I actually like to leave mine a little bit chunky. I like the little chunks of the blueberries. It does go really well on ice cream as well, if you wanted a special treat. Oh, can you see that? It's really starting to mush up. And so really, this is just, you know, a couple minutes longer. You can let it kind of simmer. But it's actually, I think it's a pretty good consistency already. And actually, my son and I were putting these on crackers the other night. That was a good snack we had together. So that's really it. Let me put this in here. Oops. I'll put my spoon away. I need another one now. See? It's actually a nice consistency. And then, of course, you're going to let it cool for a little bit, but I'm going to just, for demonstration purposes, just put it right on there. It's really yummy. And if you mix it all in, you're really going to get that flavor into the yogurt, and that's a nice snack. Okay, I think my chili should be done. I'm going to bring that home tonight for the family. And just to end things, I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint. I'm going to have, I think we have some more time, and I know we're going to have time for questions too. But just to see if there's anything else that we can talk about. Oh, here's my play. Here we go. Okay, so we talked about our gut health. We did mention about fiber in the immune system. Again, eating whole foods, fresh foods, vegetables helps promote that healthy GI system. And it also helps promote the removal of toxins from the body. So it's really important to focus on those foods as well. We did talk about the protein and its benefit with the immune system and making sure we're getting good quality protein sources. And you can see a list of these here. A lot of your, animal source proteins, but also your vegetables and your grains. We can get some of those nutrients from. If you are following a vegetarian diet, it is important to make sure that you are getting, a whole protein source. So the way that we want to do that is by combining our grains, which can have protein in them, and then the vegetable protein alone is not going to be a whole or complete protein, I should say. But if we have those within our diet within the same day or the same meal, that's going to help complete that protein. So vegetarian diet is a healthy way to eat. Just want to make sure that you're doing it in a healthy way. We talked a lot about vitamin C and its benefits, so I don't think we need to go through that again. We talked about, I think we did talk about some vitamin A and vitamin E, so those are important for strengthening our immune system. There's a list of some other food sources for those nutrients as well. Zinc is a nutrient that we didn't come up in the talk, but it certainly is important for strengthening our immune system and making sure that the immune cells are functioning and cell signaling is going to be working. So zinc is another important nutrient, and we can mainly find those in, especially animal source proteins in seafood, chicken, beef. Vitamin D, I think many people know that we can get from our food sources, but we mostly get it from the sun. And we want to make sure that, yes, we're getting using some of these food sources for vitamin D, salmon, egg yolk, some other seafood. Some people do need the supplemental form of vitamin D, especially in our region. People tend to be deficient in vitamin D, and vitamin D is really important for our immune function. So we want to make sure that we're having that evaluated. And any supplemental forms, you want to make sure that you are talking to your healthcare provider before starting any type of supplemental forms, especially if you're taking any medications. That's what I'm looking at with my clients. If they are medications, before I make any of those recommendations, I'm going to make sure that there's not going to be any kind of interaction and things like that. So just make sure that you're checking with your healthcare provider on that. But vitamin D is very important for our immune health. And we talked about the herbs, some other herbs that are especially anti-inflammatory. Cinnamon, we talked about garlic. Ginger is another great one. Turmeric. So they're not just about enhancing the food and making food more palatable, but they really do have this value to them that can benefit our health. Rosemary would be another herb that would be considered anti-inflammatory. So those are things that I will be, especially for my clients, referring them to. And we talked about some of the foods that are bad for the immune system. So we want to focus on that too. And it doesn't mean that, we can't have that cookie, or we can't have that pizza, those things that maybe aren't as good for us. But it's more of those day-to-day habits that we want to focus on, that I talk to my clients about. And really just focusing again on healthier fats. I think most of us here, the negative impact that trans fats can have on our health, and certainly impact our immune system as well. Food additives, processed foods, or anything that, is pretty much in a package that we find at the grocery store, that we want to try and reduce amount because of the additives and the preservatives and things that, can have an impact on our health that way. So supporting our immune system isn't just about what we're eating, right? So we want to make sure that, of course, we maintain a healthy weight. Sleep is really important for our immune health. Getting physical activity, staying hydrated, drinking a good amount of water, and managing stress levels. That's really huge. That can really have an impact on our immune health. And I know stress levels are very high with most people right now. We talk about that a lot when my clients come in, especially with the political environment that we've been under, and everything with the shutdown and the COVID-19 virus has really added a lot to our stress levels. And I say almost every single day in my practice that, those are the things that we really don't have control over. But we do have control over ourselves and what we're putting into our bodies, and the things that we can do to improve our health and reduce stress, and just help support our bodies that way. So there's a lot of things involved in improving and supporting our immune system. So here's another look at my center, another view that you can see. And this is where I do my little cooking demos, and hopefully we can get back to that. And so if you're ever coming by in Exeter, please stop by and see our center here. And if you do have any questions about any of my services, I'd be happy to go over that with you as well. Are we on time? I think we're done a little early. Do we want to open up for questions or anything else? Let me escape out of here. Let's see here. Does anybody have any questions?
Does anyone have any questions for Lori?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
Do the Brussels sprouts taste like Brussels sprouts in that salad, or are they hidden with all the other things?
I don't think they taste like Brussels sprouts. I think they just taste like a green to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because even my daughter, she hates Brussels sprouts, and she really likes the salad. So.
Okay. I never tried them. I never tried them raw. I don't like them.
Yeah, and I was the same way. It's actually one of my clients that changed me with Brussels sprouts a couple of years ago. My mom used to make Brussels sprouts, but they were always frozen. And my whole adult life, all I could think of was that smell, and that, like, I just was so turned off from Brussels sprouts. And then one of my clients says, well, if you like cabbage, you probably will like them. You should try them again. And that did, it really changed me. And I love Brussels sprouts. I even have my husband eating Brussels sprouts, and there's, really high in fiber. And we talked about these other nutrients. So they're really good for us. If we ever do get back out to eating again, if I see Brussels sprouts on the menu, I'm like so excited. My kids think I'm really weird. They're like, Mom, you're weird. Beet salad too is another favorite of mine if it's on a menu. So that was a good question. Yeah, and again, if you really don't like whatever is on that recipe or that component to that recipe, then switch it out with something else, or just don't add it. When I'm looking at a recipe or looking for something for clients, I'm trying to find things that don't look overwhelming. If there's a long list of ingredients, then I try and steer away from it. But sometimes if you look at the ingredients quickly, it may be just a lot of things you already have in your pantry or in your spice drawer. And, that's what the sweet potato chili, it may look like there's a lot on there, but at least for myself, I'm going to have a lot of those, the herbs and spices and things already in my kitchen. So those are the kind of things that, that I pay attention to for clients. So is anyone going to try any of these dishes, do you think? Yeah. I know. I feel bad. I feel like bad making them and eating in front of you all, and you can't try it. That's typically what I do. I try and give, different aspects of what a full meal can be like for clients. And
I just recently started eating Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
And I buy this salad, and it's already got all that stuff cut up in it.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I bought one, and I found 2 whole Brussels sprouts in it. I didn't know that Brussels sprouts was in it. I've been eating it all along, and I didn't know it was Brussels sprouts until I opened the package, and there was 2 whole Brussels sprouts in there. But the way I do mine, in order for me to like it a little bit better, is I saute them in olive oil and put garlic and chop up some green onions in it.
Yes. You can saute them, you can, roast them.
Yes.
There's ways to disguise things too. If you're trying to get anyone in your family to try different things. Even just chopping things up a little smaller. They may not know that it's in with other vegetables or other dishes components. Anything else?
Laura, you had mentioned tofu as a protein. That's always a controversial topic in the breast cancer community. Can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so, tofu or, items like that, it just depends on the individual. And there can be a lot of benefits, and with soy products, especially with estrogen-based issues, that is something that we kind of have to try to kind of balance. There's so much different research out there about it, And there's a lot of negatives and there's a lot of benefits. So it's just trying to figure out that balance for that individual. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay.
Does anyone have any other questions for Lori?
So now, do you do individual, like if somebody wants to know things they could eat, you have to be tested for that?
So do you mean if someone has sensitivity?
Allergies to certain foods, do you test them for that?
There are blood tests that you can do to identify if someone has certain sensitivities. There's actually a lab that we utilize here through our center where, you know, depending on the individual and the symptoms that they're having, I may recommend that we do look at that. And what it is looking at not your immediate sensitivity or reaction to a food. That's your IgE response. And typically when people are allergic to a food, they would probably know because they would have symptoms, you know, pretty soon after they have consumed that food, like nuts. You know, you might break out in hives or have trouble breathing, something like that. But what we're also going to be looking at is your IgG response, which is a delayed reaction. So somebody might eat a food and a few days later, it might contribute to maybe some inflammatory issues that they're having or some other symptoms or GI symptoms. So we can look at different foods and see if someone does have a sensitivity to certain foods. And that actually will help guide an elimination diet. Oftentimes, you know, if someone does have a sensitivity to a certain type of food, doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be off of it forever, depending on the level of their sensitivity. But it might just mean they might not need a time frame where they remove those certain foods that are affecting the body and give time for the gut to heal. And that's what I help support them with in regards to that. My husband's actually a very good example of that. He had the blood test done for the IgG sensitivity or food antibody test, that's what it's called. And he came up very high with eggs. And that was a really hard thing for him to take out of his diet. He loves eating eggs, and eggs is in a lot of different things. So that was hard for him to really get out 100% from his diet. But once he finally did, he actually did improve with how he was feeling. He has a lot of inflammatory issues. He has gout, he has asthma, and you know, he really did improve with those symptoms. And another really good example is individuals with rheumatoid arthritis. Mm-hmm. I've identified some of those sensitivities with those individuals, and some of them have actually been able to reduce medications or even go off of them just by changing the diet and identifying those inflammatory foods or foods that they're sensitive to. Yeah, so now you can also do an elimination diet without having those results. You know, it is an out-of-pocket expense. So, but it doesn't mean that we have to do that. We can do an elimination diet and then have people off of certain foods that tend to be inflammatory or people tend to have sensitivities to. And then we do a food challenge where we slowly reintroduce certain foods. So we can identify, okay, we reintroduce gluten, let's say, and now certain symptoms returned. So now we can probably say or identify that that person probably has a sensitivity to that and probably should avoid that type of food. So that was a great question.
Yes. I went to one of those centers one time where they do, it's very expensive to get it done. Mm-hmm. It cost me about $400 to get it done.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of things like, I love cabbage, but I can't eat cabbage now because, like you said, it was causing arthritis, RA, and my system was being inflamed.
Yes.
Bananas, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But the results was good because I couldn't walk. My hands was really swollen bad, and when I came off all that stuff, all of it went away.
Wow, that's great. Yeah. So that you're a great example of that. It's worth it. It's worth it when you can find those things that are contributing to those symptoms, for sure. And if you can reduce medications, that's going to be a big benefit to your health as well. Absolutely. Very good.
Even when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I went to a center that they had at the Redding Hospital, and they gave me, they helped me with a lot of vital, stuff that I could take, foods that I shouldn't eat, ketchup and stuff like that, that was good for when I was diagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
Any other questions for Lori?
Well, Laura, I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening on this snowy winter.
Well, thanks for having me.
And then I'd like to thank everybody for participating. And then when I receive the recipes from Lori, I will share them as I have everybody's emails. And I will also be following up with an evaluation tomorrow morning. Your feedback's important on programs. But if BCSS can be a further service, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. And again, Lori, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see everyone is safe and warm and healthy. So great to see everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.